What's up guys, welcome back to our second video. Today we are going to learn about exploratory data analysis that will help us understand the data and its important features completely so that we are ready to go and apply machine learning models on it. Now before we start, we must install some necessary files that we are going to require. So first up we are going to install Anaconda, for which we just Google Anaconda download, click on the first link, and then click on the download button and then choose whichever operating system you're working on. In my case, I have already installed it on my system. So what you have to do is just tick all the boxes that come on your way while installing it. After this, we open our start menu and search for Anaconda prompt. By default, this will be a root directory. So I'm changing the location according to my preference where I want my Jupyter notebook to be. So I change my directory typing cd desktop/eda. To open a Jupyter notebook, just type Jupyter notebook in the prompt. It will open Jupyter notebook in your default browser. So as you can see, we don't have any file inside it right now. So let's download a dataset which we will place in this folder. For this, we will go on Kaggle where you can find tons of other datasets. But for today, we will be working on Iris dataset. So I'll search Iris in the Kaggle search engine. Download this dataset. We'll extract the downloaded file and place the iris.csv file in the desktop/eda folder. Now you can see the iris.csv file in your Jupyter notebook. Next step is creating a new Python notebook inside this folder. And this is how it will look when we first open our notebook. Let's name this file EDA. And before starting, let me teach you some tricks that will help you use the Jupyter notebook. By default, we have the cell inactive. So for making it active, we must click on it. Now it turns into green color, which means it is active. And if we want to add a cell below it, we will press B. And if we want to add a cell above it, we will press A. To delete any cell, we just press double D. So our first step in exploratory data analysis is to import all the important libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Seaborn. Note that we have given these short names such as NP, PD, PLT, SNS for reusability in further cases. For loading the file, we must name it first, like iris is equal to pd.read_csv and then your file name, that is iris.csv. Before moving further, let us see what our dataset is all about. So it is about the species of a flower in which we have 3 different species categorized on the basis of their different features. To see what those features are, we type iris.head, which gives us the top 5 rows of this dataset. Here we can see different types of features such as sepal length, sepal width, petal width, which finally determine the output, that is our species. So these are called the independent variables, and this is the dependent variable which is dependent on all these independent variables. Next step is to drop any unnecessary column that is not required to determine the output, that is species. Here we can see that ID does not play any role in determining the species of the flower. So we will remove the ID column. For that, we will type iris drop. Then we will mention the column name, that is ID. And then we'll type axis equal to 1 so that the vertical column gets removed. Press Shift plus Enter. And now here we can see that the ID column has vanished. Now to get much more detailed idea about this data, we will type iris, then we'll mention the column name, and then we'll type value underscore counts, which will return us the number of species in the whole data. Now we need to check if there are any missing points or null values in this data, for which we type iris.isNull.sum. This will return if any data is missing. There will be some number here. As we can see, there is no missing data, so we are good to go, and now we can apply the libraries to visualize the data we have. So the next step is we are going to plot graphs to visualize data. So now we will visualize a target column. In our case, that will be species, because in the end we want to predict the correct species of the flower. So now for visualizing a target column, we type plt.title and we fill in the title we want to give it. Like in my case, I will name it species count. And then to plot a graph, I'll type sns.count plot and then type iris with species, that is our target column. So this count plot returns us the number of rows of data of every species, and this further tells us that our data set is balanced with 3 equal records. Next, we are going to see the use of scatter plot, in which we will compare independent variables such as sepal length and sepal width on the basis of species. So for plotting a scatter plot, this is the code we'll write, in which we'll plot a figure of size 8,5, and I have given it a title, that is comparison between sepal width and length on the basis of species. And then finally the command for plotting a scatter plot, that is sns.scatterplot. On the x-axis we will have the sepal length, and on the y-axis we will have the sepal width. And this command hue will give colors to the mapping of the features. Let me show you. So here we can differentiate between the species, and this different color is assigned by the command hue. So how does a 2D scatter plot help? Now we can observe that blue points can be easily separated from orange and green points. But orange and green points cannot be easily separated. So by using sepal width and sepal length, we can conclude that we can differentiate between setosa and other 2 species of the flowers. The next important graph we are going to cover is histogram, which tells us about the distribution of data in every single independent variable such as petal width or sepal length, etc. So to plot this for petal width, here sns.facetGrid will create a grid in which hue, as I told you earlier, will color the different features, and then we use a dist plot, which stands for distribution plot, for the petal width, and .add legend will label the diagram. So let's see what happens. So here you can see setosa is easily separable from versicolor and virginica on the basis of petal width. And similarly, we can do it for the other variables such as sepal length. Let's see how it looks. So as we can see here, on the basis of sepal length, we cannot separate these different types of species. The next graph we are going to look at is one of the most helpful graphs while doing exploratory data analysis. Pair plot is basically the combination of various different graphs where we have more than 2 independent features. Let's see what I mean. So to code a pair plot, we just simply write sns.pairplot and we give our dataset's name. Now here we can see that in pair plot, it can be divided into 3 parts. The diagonal elements show us the histogram, and we have the upper triangle matrix and the lower triangular matrix, which shows us the scatter plot as I have explained above. One of the major drawbacks of the pair plot is that when there are many independent variables, it gets very difficult to plot. So for that reason, we use principal component analysis, which we will cover in the later classes. Another important type of graph is box plot. It is useful while locating the outliers. You must be wondering what outliers actually mean. Outliers are just some unusual observations in the data. As the name suggests, outliers. These are mostly extreme points which are different from the majority of the distribution. Let us have a look ourselves so that we get a much clearer picture. So as we can see here, these are the outliers, and majority of the portion of the data of these species lies in these regions. A box plot has 5 parts. One is the upper extreme, then is the upper quartile, then we have the medium, and then we have the lower quartile, and then we have the lower extreme, and this is the outlier. It can be above it or it can be below it, like here. Note that we are just using one feature here, that is petal length. We can do this with other features also. We have a similar type of plotting method like the box plot, which we call as the violin plot. Here there is a difference. We can see that the edges are smooth. This is because of a kernel density estimator, which is a way of estimating probability density function of a random variable. What I mean by that is that we can see how much data is present in this region. The last type of graph that we are going to look at is the heat map. But before we look at it, we must know what correlation is. So basically it means how much the two independent variables like sepal length, petal width, or petal length, sepal width, etc. are related to each other. Let's plot the graph to get a more clear idea. So here we see that the lighter the color, the more correlated they are with each other. In this case, we can observe that petal width is highly correlated to petal length. We can conclude that our dataset is balanced and we have 4 numerical columns: sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and one target column which we have to predict, that is the species of the flower. And then we also saw from the heat map that there is a strong correlation between petal width and petal length. And in most of the graphs, we can see that Setosa species is more distinguishable than the other 2 species. So what is the use of doing all this? The information we have extracted, we can use it in making better predictions in our machine learning model. That said, I will end this video today. Please tell me in the comment section what else do you want me to do apart from this. I hope you found the video informative, and this is how we visualize the data before applying a machine learning model to it. I will be posting the code link below in the comment section, so please check it out. And I hope you have liked and subscribed my channel.